Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about a quality that we often hear about but rarely take time to truly understand: maturity. Many people assume that maturity comes automatically with age, but in reality it is more about one's mindset, behavior, and choices than the number of years lived. Maturity is not simply growing older, it is about growing wiser. It is about how we respond to life, how we handle challenges, and how we treat others. Many people wrongly assume that maturity automatically comes with growing older, but age alone does not guarantee wisdom or sensible behavior. There are individuals who may be very young yet display remarkable maturity, while others, who are much older, sometimes still act impulsively or irresponsibly. This shows that maturity is not measured by the number of years a person has lived, but by how they think, react, and handle situations. Age may provide experiences, but it is the way we learn from those experiences that determines our level of maturity. And maturity is deeply connected to the choices we make in everyday life. A person's behavior reflects whether they are truly mature or not. For instance, someone who reacts calmly during a disagreement rather than losing their temper shows a higher level of maturity than someone who lashes out. Similarly, when a person admits their mistakes instead of blaming others, it reveals their sense of responsibility and growth. These actions are not tied to how old a person is. Mindset and willingness to grow emotionally and mentally. Another important aspect is that maturity involves self-silenceness. A mature person understands their strengths and weaknesses and works on them with honesty and humility. They don't allow their ego to control their actions, nor do they let pride prevent them from improving themselves. Instead, they view challenges and criticism as opportunities to learn. This mindset demonstrates that maturity is a conscious choice, not a natural result of age. People of any age can choose to act wisely if they are willing to reflect on themselves and learn from life. Finally, maturity also means understanding the consequences of one's actions and making decisions with thoughtfulness. It requires balancing emotions with logic and considering how choices may affect not only oneself but also others. A younger person who thinks before acting may display greater maturity than an older person who acts carelessly. This proves that maturity is about mindset and behavior rather than age. It is developed through reflection, responsibility, and the ability to respond wisely to life's challenges. One of the clearest signs of maturity is the ability to control emotions, especially during difficult or stressful situations. Anyone can get angry, frustrated, or upset, but a mature person knows how to manage those feelings without letting them take over. Instead of reacting impulsively with hurtful words or rash decisions, they take a step back, think carefully, and respond calmly. This self-control not only prevents unnecessary conflicts, but also shows strength of character. Emotional control reflects a person's ability to rise above momentary feelings and choose. Along with managing emotions, maturity is also reflected in taking responsibility for one's actions. A mature person does not run away from mistakes or blame others for their failures. Instead, they acknowledge what they did wrong and try to correct it. This shows honesty, accountability, and growth. On the other hand, those who constantly avoid responsibility or look for excuses show a lack of maturity no matter their age. True maturity is about owning both successes and failures and using each experience as a stepping stone toward improvement. Furthermore, emotional control and responsibility are closely linked because one supports the other. When a person manages their emotions, they are better able to make rational decisions and accept the outcomes of those choices. For example, in a workplace setting, a mature individual may handle criticism constructively instead of taking offense. Rather than blaming colleagues or arguing, they use the feedback to improve their performance. This attitude not only strengthens personal growth, but also earns the respect of others, proving that maturity lies in handling both emotions and duties with wisdom. Everything is responsibility, accusing responsi, er contrao, elevancy. Curiosity, therefore, is consistently doing something, increment and impulses, a life of connection. It's their idea, responsibility, a loss and a halo. Making maybe you do not understand, do not buy. This powerful combination defines true maturity. Patience is one of the strongest indicators of maturity because it shows self-control and emotional balance. A mature person understands that not everything in life happens instantly and that waiting with calmness is often necessary for the best results. Instead of becoming restless or frustrated, they accept that some situations require time to unfold. For example, a patient person does not give up easily when facing difficulties. Instead, they persist with effort and determination, knowing that real growth and success often take time. Patience, therefore, is not weakness, but a strength that allows individuals to stay steady in the face of delays and challenges. Equally important is the ability to show respect for others, regardless of differences in opinions, beliefs, or backgrounds. A mature person realizes that every individual deserves dignity and consideration. They listen attentively when others speak. They avoid belittling or mocking, and they value the perspectives of those around them. This respect builds trust and harmony in relationships, whether in families, friendships, or workplaces. Without respect, even the most intelligent person may lack maturity because true growth is seen in how one treats others. Patience and respect often go hand in hand. When a person is patient, they are more likely to give others the time to express themselves without interruption. This naturally leads to respectful communication. For instance, in a heated debate, an immature person might shout or dismiss opposing views, while a mature person listens carefully, responds thoughtfully, and respects the right of others to disagree. By doing so, they create an environment of understanding and peace, showing that maturity is as much about interpersonal behavior as it is about personal growth. Moreover, patience and respect reveal a person's long-term vision and emotional depth. A mature individual understands that relationships and goals are not built in a day. They require consistent effort, tolerance, and understanding. By respecting people's differences and being patient with their shortcomings, a person shows compassion and wisdom. This not only strengthens bonds with others, but also reflects inner stability. In essence, maturity it is a haste to ignore questions. In the essence, maturity is inclusive behind everything, is always conformated. This is the basic greatest. One of the strongest qualities of a mature person is their preference for peace over unnecessary conflict. While arguments and disagreements are part of life, maturity lies in how one chooses to handle them. A mature individual does not jump into fights to prove superiority or satisfy ego. Instead, they think carefully about whether a conflict is worth engaging in or whether it is wiser to step back. By prioritizing peace, they avoid wasting energy on negativity and focus on solutions that bring harmony. This ability to rise above petty disputes is a mark of true strength, not weakness. Choosing peace does not mean avoiding all disagreements or staying silent in every situation. Rather, it means addressing conflicts in a calm, constructive, and respectful manner. Mature people know that yelling, insulting, or seeking revenge only damages relationships further, while peaceful dialogue builds bridges of understanding. They realize that resolution is far more important than winning an argument. By practicing this approach, they not only maintain their own inner calm, but also influence those around them to handle conflicts more wisely. Closely linked to choosing peace is the ability to forgive easily. Holding grudges and carrying bitterness only adds weight to the heart and prevents growth. A mature person understands that everyone makes mistakes, including themselves, and that forgiveness is necessary for moving forward. Forgiving others does not mean forgetting the wrong or accepting harmful behavior. It means releasing anger and freeing oneself from the burden of resentment. This mindset allows mature individuals to live with a lighter heart and healthier relationships. Forgiveness also demonstrates emotional strength. It is far easier to stay angry or seek revenge than to let go of pain. But maturity teaches that peace of mind is more valuable than holding on to grudges. By forgiving, a person breaks the cycle of negativity and sets an example of compassion and wisdom. They show that maturity is not about punishing others, but about growing beyond the hurt. In this way, choosing peace and practicing forgiveness become two powerful signs of true maturity, both strengthening relationships and nurturing inner stability. A clear sign of maturity is the ability to admit mistakes without hesitation. Many people struggle with this because their pride or ego prevents them from acknowledging when they are wrong. Instead, They try to shift blame onto others or deny responsibility altogether. A mature person, however, understands that mistakes are part of being human, and that denying them only creates more problems. By accepting responsibility, they show honesty, courage, and humility, qualities that reflect real growth. Admitting mistakes does not make a person weak. In fact, it proves their strength and sincerity. Once mistakes are admitted, the next step that shows maturity is the commitment to self-improvement. Mature individuals do not stop at saying, "I was wrong." They take action to learn from their errors and avoid repeating them in the future. Whether it is through reflection, advice, or effort, they actively work to become better. For example, if they hurt someone with harsh words, they not only apologize, but also try to improve their communication skills. This willingness to grow shows that they value progress over perfection. The connection between admitting mistakes and striving for self-improvement creates a powerful cycle of personal development. Maturity is about breaking that cycle by learning continuously. Furthermore, this process of self-improvement highlights that maturity is an ongoing journey rather than a fixed state. No one becomes completely mature overnight. It is built gradually through experiences, failures, and lessons. Every time a person admits their faults and takes action to improve, they grow stronger and wiser. This habit not only benefits their personal life, but also inspires others to do the same. In this way, maturity is shown not by being flawless, but by being honest about imperfections. Maturity is often measured by how well a person manages to balance their own wants with the responsibilities they carry. Everyone has dreams, goals, and personal desires, but maturity means recognizing that these must sometimes be adjusted or delayed in order to fulfill important duties. For instance, a student may wish to spend the entire day having fun with friends, but a mature student understands that studying for exams takes priority. In this way, maturity helps people make thoughtful choices that keep both their personal happiness and their obligations in harmony. Balancing desires with responsibilities does not mean sacrificing joy completely. It means finding a middle ground where both can exist. A mature individual understands that responsibilities, whether in family, career, or society, cannot be ignored for the sake of temporary pleasures. At the same time, they also know that personal happiness is important for overall well-being. So instead of neglecting either side, they learn to manage time, energy, and priorities in such a way that both their duties and their joys are respected. This balance reflects emotional intelligence and self-discipline. Another important part of this balance is learning how to delay gratification. Immature people often want everything immediately without considering the consequences. But mature individuals think ahead. They know that sometimes putting responsibilities first creates greater rewards in the long run. For example, someone may resist spending all their earnings on luxury items so that they can save for their family's future. Such actions show that maturity is not about denying desires completely, but about controlling them with wisdom and foresight. Finally, balancing personal desires with responsibilities also strengthens relationships and builds trust. When a person takes care of their duties while still respecting their own needs, others see them as dependable and reliable. Whether in family life, friendships, or work, people who fail to manage this often face conflict, stress, or regret. Maturity, therefore, lies in understanding that true happiness comes not only from fulfilling desires, but also from honoring the responsibilities that give life structure and meaning. One of the most defining aspects of maturity is the ability to think carefully before making decisions, rather than acting on sudden impulses. Impulsiveness often leads people to choices that bring regret because they act without considering the long-term effects of their actions. A mature person, however, pauses to reflect, weighs the consequences, and then responds wisely. This does not mean they never take risks or make quick choices when necessary, but it means their decisions are guided by thoughtfulness and reason instead of uncontrolled emotions or desires. Wisdom is central to maturity because it helps individuals see beyond the present moment. A wise person recognizes that temporary satisfaction may not always bring lasting happiness. For example, instead of spending time on distractions that provide only short-lived pleasure, a mature individual may focus on self-improvement or meaningful goals that will benefit them in the long run. This preference for wisdom over impulsiveness shows a deeper understanding of life's priorities and a commitment to steady growth. Choosing growth also means being open to learning from experiences, both good and bad. Mature people do not allow failures to discourage them or push them into reckless decisions. Instead, they see failures as lessons that guide them toward becoming better. They continuously seek opportunities to expand their knowledge, improve their character, and strengthen their abilities. This mindset separates them from those who act carelessly without learning from their mistakes. Growth becomes a lifelong pursuit, and wisdom becomes the guiding light that directs their journey. Moreover, maturity is displayed in how a person reacts to pressure or challenges. An impulsive individual might panic, overreact, or choose the easiest way out, but a mature individual relies on patience, calmness, and reason to handle the situation. They know that acting wisely, even if it takes more effort, leads to better outcomes than giving in to quick but harmful impulses. By consistently choosing wisdom and growth over impulsiveness, they build resilience, stability, and a sense of direction in life. Qualities that define true maturity. In the end, maturity is not about how many years we have lived, but about how we choose to live them. It is reflected in our ability to control emotions, act responsibly, respect others, and handle conflicts with peace and forgiveness. It shines through when we admit our mistakes, strive for self-improved wisdom, balance our personal desires with our responsibilities, and consistently choose wisdom over impulsiveness. Maturity is not a fixed destination, but a continuous journey of growth, learning, and reflection. The more we cultivate it in ourselves, the more meaningful our lives become, and the more positive impact we create for those around us. True maturity, therefore, is a silent strength that guides us toward becoming the best version of ourselves.